Hello and welcome back to another episode of Pass the Syrup, the agent podcast for agents. Always have agents. Today, three fantastic agents. We have Megan 18 with us, we have Scott Gunn with us, and we have Mandy Baker with us. Guys, how's it going? Big waves, big hellos, everyone cool?
Yeah, all good. Totally.
Wow.
Nice, look at that. Look, the intros, which always take too long, we've knocked them out in 12 seconds.
Smashed
This
it.
is going to be more punchy. This is amazing. This is what you guys have been asking for. No one's been asking for it. So we're going to kick off today with the Agents Together issue of the week as presented by Sam Offley, who looks after Agents Together. If you're not a part of this charity and you want to be involved, reach out. It's a mentor-mentee charity, brilliant initiative, completely free. And as someone who's been a mentor for some time, very, very rewarding. But as someone who has spoken to a number of different mentees, as a mentee, it's fantastic. You get access to such experienced, high-quality people that can help you with anything you need. Further ado, we're going to play Sam and hear the issue of the week.
Hello, Pastor Cyril guests. Now, my question for you this week is, who do you think every new agent should be following on social media?
Who do you think on social media that new agents should be following? I normally hear them in advance. I didn't hear that. Hadn't heard that before. That's quite an interesting one. Go, Megan, who do you reckon?
So, aside from the wonderful people in this group, of course, I'm going to go with Toby Martin. He's a good friend of mine. He runs a really successful letting agency in Bath. He does a lot of good video content, a lot of informative stuff. I'm going to give mine to Toby Martin.
Yeah, he was going to be mine. So great. Thank you for that. Brilliant content. Scott, who would you recommend following? I mean,
I love Holly Price's stuff. Yeah, there's a few people you shouldn't, but we'll do that another time. Yeah, Holly Price. She's an EXP agent, but she's just my favourite person to follow online. I love her Instagram stuff. Her LinkedIn's fantastic. So authentic. There's no difference to Holly on video to Holly on a phone call. So, yeah, for me, it's Holly.
Holly, very nice, very good. Mandy, who have you got?
Well, I'm coming at it from a different point of view because I am a new agent. So I am like looking for more people to follow and listen. So I'm going to go. So I it's not really social media so much, but I love watching all the American programs and in different countries, what agents are doing in different countries, because I sort of feel like we could learn a lot from that as well. But it's really nice getting to know you lot and following the people that you recommend. And, you know, my good old fashioned Matt Baldock from Essex.
Love Matt Baldock.
Always love listening to his videos on LinkedIn. So I'm going to plump for him.
Yeah, he talks a lot of sense,
nice.
Matt.
Yeah, I mean, Matt needs all the help he can get with his absolute dribble, so it's good that you've done that for him. I wish I had my phone here to send him a quick text. No, Matt's content is really, really good. And actually, from an American perspective, I don't know. Do you follow Tom Ferry?
No.
Brilliant. His content is absolutely brilliant. I'm
writing all these down.
He's the number one estate agency coach in America, but his content and his network of people that contribute really, really, really good. So I would actually, that would be my recommendation. Follow him and his team. They produce great content.
Cool.
So, Agents Mentor done. We are flying through this. This is amazing.
Smashing it.
Let's get into the meat and veg. So everyone every week is going to present one thing they'd like to discuss.
Do you want to re-record that bit?
What?
I feel like there's, you know, some undertones to that.
I mean, look, whatever's going through your mind right now, Megan, don't drag us down into the gutter.
It's the same thing that's going through Mandy's mind.
I was going to say, Megan and I both pulled a face.
Well, yeah, I mean, girls, look, if you want to
just not listening. That's all.
I didn't hear it because I haven't prepared a subject, and all I can think about is what am I going to talk about when it comes to my turn. So sorry, I genuinely didn't hear what was said.
This letting the EXP side down again. So we're gonna discuss three different subjects. It might be fun, it might be entertaining, it might be agency based, it might be inspirational stuff, it might be educational, it might just be a bit of a moan. Whatever's good. So Megan, we're gonna kick off with you. What would you like to discuss? Oh, she's psyching herself up. Let's go. What is it, Megan? Give it to us.
Shall we talk about the blunder in the Negotiator of an article that said, titled, Women punching above their weight. followed by an article about women winning awards. Thoughts? Or silence?
Mandy,
After you, Ben.
Is Mandy frozen? Oh, Scott, she's frozen. You're gonna have to go. You're gonna have to answer first, Scott. Give us your thoughts.
I think the first thing is, like, as a man, I don't want to be the spokesperson for idiots. And just because someone said something really, really stupid, I don't want to stand up and respond on their behalf, particularly just because I'm a man too. I saw it, and then I saw it again, and then I saw it again, and then I saw it again. I thought, okay, because I wasn't really paying too much attention. I was doom scrolling LinkedIn, and then I actually stopped and read it, and I was just like, how has this got through? And unfortunately for the negotiators, it's the second year in a row. Like, that's not a blunder, that's a problem. That's something that's like part of their culture as far as I'm concerned. And I think they might have a real hard time selling sponsorship next year. The conference was poor, in my opinion. If I'd paid to sponsor and sat in a largely empty conference hall, I'd be disappointed. The awards didn't start till about 10:30. Certainly it was gone 10 o'clock. At least a third to 40% of the people were leaving to get trains home. So, you know, I think it was a poor event. It was a poor event last year, followed up with a absolutely shocker of a headline. I think they should be ashamed of themselves as a publication.
Wow.
I love that he was like, I'm not going to say anything, but then went, oh.
Wallop. Absolutely that.
It's just, I'll tell you what it's like. It's, you know, when you're a man and you see that sort of thing, it's like when I go to West Ham and I see some football idiot do something stupid on the telly. I was like, oh, good, we're all going to be lumbered into the same bracket there. Idiot West Ham fan. I saw that and I just thought, thanks, mate. Cheers.
The problem is, it wasn't just the two. So obviously we had the incident with the entertainment last year.
Dancing girls.
Dancing topless girls. I kind of didn't necessarily align with that part. I was like, it was a Moulin Rouge theme event. So for me, I was like, it's not my fight, but if people are offended, they should absolutely say something. And then obviously this year, but what we forget is in the middle of the year, we were graced with that beautiful article about the gender pay gap, which was written and said there was no gender pay gap, despite there being loads of evidence of such, written by a white middle-aged man.
So I don't know this article. Give us like a bit more context on the article, Megan.
It was literally an article that basically said there is no gender pay gap issue in our industry. So despite the fact that I think it was last year, Savills reported a 50% gender pay gap. I think I'm not going to name because I can't actually remember all of them. But if you go onto the government website, any business over 250 employees has to, by mandatory, provide their gender pay gap stats, and you would be horrified. There was one estate agent which was 0 gender pay gap. So there was an article that was created by the negotiator that said there's no issue, and it was written by a white middle-aged man who was like a recruiter. And I actually called it out at the time and said, look, there is an issue. Like, it's on the government website. We can clearly see that we've got an issue. I don't think that asking one person of the opposite gender of a certain age is probably the right person to ask as well. When you've got
what was his position though? Why did he say if there is an issue and it's clear as day? What was his argument for there not being an issue?
They didn't provide any evidence to suggest that there is it. But if you go onto the government website, you can see it very clearly.
So
in fact,
in essence, it was just an opinion piece that his opinion
absolutely
not backed up by anything.
It was definitely an opinion piece. And actually, Ellie Rees did a countdown of the 12 worst gender pay gaps in our industry. She's like a series, and it was absolutely horrifying, fascinating, but horrifying. So in all of 1 year.
That's so we only see that data for business with more than 250 employees.
Yes.
So I guess there's not that many. How many businesses do you reckon in the UK have more than 250 employees?
There is quite a lot, because you think you've got like Countrywide, you've got LRG, you've got Savills, you've got Hamptons, you've got
but like maybe
Chesterton's,
30 or something like that.
Say that again.
Maybe 30, something like that.
No, it's more than that, because you forget there's a lot of companies that own these companies. So
and there's
what
regionals that I'm not even aware of, aren't there?
Yeah. I mean, look, it's not a clear 100% picture, but my view is if you're an independent business, why are you hiding your gender pay gap stats? You could voluntarily provide them, because if there's no issue, why would you not?
I just find the gender pay gap thing. So last week's episode was Women in the State Agency. I had Verona on, Claire and Liana, and it's a bit of an eye opener, because how I framed myself was I've got these rose tinted glasses on because I've never been in an environment where it's an issue. So, you know, I guess I'm lucky in that respect. But you make the assumption that I've worked at enough agencies to know that's not an issue in the two that we've had of our own. And when I was coming up in agency, I think all but one of my managers was female. So I'm like, yeah, that's not a thing. But obviously it is elsewhere. You're not familiar with it, you're not aware of it.
But also that says a lot about you, Ben. And let's be honest, right? So you're a dad of what, 3 girls? So you're raising these girls into an environment where, you know, I got told very early on that if I ever wanted to be a manager, it had to be in lettings, because women couldn't be managers in sales. I got told for every year that I didn't have a baby, I'd be bought a dog. Someone I know said, if you want to be a manager, you should get sterilized. Yeah, sterilized.
Yeah.
So for me, that leads really nicely back to that article. And one of the things that people said was, oh, they didn't mean it. But language is so important when you come to talk about things. So for me, the fact is that equality is the benchmark for equality is not a flag waving session of women win awards, because you wouldn't put black person wins an award in an article. You wouldn't do that. So why would you do that for women? That's not what this is about. This is about comparing women side by side, you know. And you have Matt Baldock on your podcast a few weeks ago, and he said, I don't see the point of the women's only award at the Esters. I totally 100% agree with him. We are meant to be comparing men and women together fairly, not separating them. We don't want segregation.
I had that conversation with Claire Yates after the Women in a State Agency conference. We were having a glass of wine at the bar, and they just announced it, hadn't they, that they were going to do the women's only awards at the conference. And I just thought, that's a step in the wrong direction. You know, it's 20 years too late, and it's a step in the wrong direction. I think that's a mistake. I just don't see the benefit. And I don't. So if there's a best female estate agent award, but there's also a best overall estate agent, if a woman wins that, do they win the best woman by default? It's just complicated. It's just stupid. Doesn't help anybody. That just does not help anybody. But that wasn't a blunder. That was a clickbait title, and it's worked. It's clickbaited, but it's backfired.
There was a part of me, and I said it to somebody, I can't remember who I said it to. I said, either they are completely misguided or it's a really warped marketing plan.
I think it's a bit of both. With me, I really think it's important in this day and age where content goes out so quickly and we talk in, you know, so fast in this kind of conversation, that people are forgiven for misspeaking, and that if they're educated on something and they just go, oh my goodness, never looked at it like that, sorry, let's move on. I really don't want to vilify those people, because I think that's not a society I want to live in. We all say things we don't mean. But that was typed, that was considered, and that would have been proofread by somebody, I'm sure. And if it wasn't, then why not?
But also, do you not think the fact there was a whole article about just women
at all? Yeah.
But what I will say is, full disclosure, I reached out to Grant because I thought it would be hypocritical for me to criticize him on social media, but not reach out and be like, do you want to talk about it? And I thought he'd be like, don't come in here. You've got 25,000 people complaining on your LinkedIn now. But he did, and we had a really good, honest discussion about it. And I am cautiously optimistic that 2024 will be different. Let's see if my caution is correct.
So my only takeaway from it, that hasn't already been discussed. My only additional takeaway is that we still get quite offended by things we read, like really offended. And I don't know if that means that I'm not human, but I don't remember the last time I read something and was really offended, outraged, angered. but people were, you know, my LinkedIn feed was bombarded with very similar stuff, and people were using words like "I'm outraged," "I'm furious," and I just think that we need to just take a step back and just say, you know what, like maybe it's just an idiot that made a mistake. Like I can have an opinion on it, but don't allow it to become so overly emotional. I think take a step back and don't allow yourself to be sucked into that so much. I know I'm a bit odd, but I'm so far logical that at home it's a nightmare trying to get emotion out of me. I know my wife hates it.
But can I interject?
Yes, please.
You know, Ben, that I love you enough to invite you to an Elf in the Shelf WhatsApp group. So I say this with absolute love, right?
Yeah.
For decades, women have been told that every time they stick their hand up and say this isn't right, that they're too emotional. That people mistake passion for emotion, and that you can't be passionate and logical at the same time. Like, it's such a running joke that actually there was even a joke in the Barbie movie about it. You know, so as women, we're told to contain ourselves because we shouldn't be too emotional, but yet if we don't say anything, we're not part of womanhood. You know, we're not a sister, we're not women supporting women, but we say something and then we're an angry feminist. So can you see why for us as women it's actually really difficult?
My retort to that would be, I'm not talking about male female emotional logic. I'm talking about people, society in general gets very emotional about issues when I think a more logical approach would work. The most emotional person I know is a man. I sit next to him in our sales meeting every day, and every day I have to wind him in and say, will you just chill out and can we just have a logical conversation about whatever it is we're dealing with? What it really highlighted to me is, as a society, and there were plenty of men that were outraged about it, actually. There were plenty of men that were supporting it, and supporting the fact that this is not a very good article. And the fact that we're talking about it on the podcast, it was just a case of who was going to bring it out first, and you got in first, Megan. I don't agree with it. I don't like it. I'm a father of 3 daughters. I was raised by the fiercest woman you could have ever met. I'm fierce on equality. From the team within our businesses has always been. I don't know what way to say this without sounding like I'm just trying to sort of like, we're amazing. That's not what I mean. What I mean is, I do think that generally, when something happens in the world, someone writes an opinion piece, call them out on it, but don't allow it to ruin your day. And that's how people will present themselves.
But I think that, like, for example, like the post that I put about it, mine literally said, really? And someone said to me, oh, we don't want a confrontational approach. I was like, did I write anything confrontational? Someone actually commented and said, oh, I hope they're fired. And I said, well, I think that's a bit much. Maybe they just need a bit of education. But the problem is, Ben, like, imagine you know, your daughter, she's just won Young Agent of the Year because she's an estate agent, because she's raised well, right? She's just won, and the article basically went, oh, she did better than expected. You would be fuming.
See, and this is where I completely disagree. So I wouldn't be fuming. She might, because she's 7 years old, or she's 25 years old, and she thinks this is bullshit. How dare they say that about me? And I would say to her, honey, did you win the award? Yeah. Are you amazing? Yeah. Who the fuck is that? Who cares?
I don't disagree. That's how I would expect her to treat it. I think
I do think there's an element of I do think that people should look to tidy their own rooms first. You know, ahead of pointing fingers is okay, and sometimes it's needed, as in this case, it's important. But I do think there's a lot of people that are quite happy to point at everybody else without taking any action themselves. That seems to be very.
I'd argue that I don't think any change happens without passion. You have to have passion to form change. You know, I've got a friend who's passionate about the environment, and we sort of take the mickey a little bit, but without that, none of us will ever make a change. And this has to be changed. Not that it spoils your day, just have a logical, you know, I was pleased that it brought it up and we can have the discussion. It doesn't mean all of us are losing the whole day. It's just, but you have to have a certain amount of passion to make change. People who have major things happen in their life, or major injustices, or something terrible happens to them, they're the people that make change, because their passion drives their motivation to action. Without that passion, nothing will change. And women, you know, haven't really made that much inroad in however many years. Like the stuff, without going back to Emily Pankhurst, but why not? You know, they make masses of change, and then we've sort of relaxed a little bit. And it still needs to be done. More has to be done, but for the strength of everyone. You know, I see the world like, as we're, say, the country or a business or whatever, you're all as one, you're a family, you're a household. We are strong together, and it is nothing to do with men and women. It is men and women of that mindset that realise that we should have more equality, not women just ranting about it, in the same way as I hate racism, but I'm white, but I can still hate racism, you know. So you don't have to be a woman to champion women's rights and equality. You just have to recognise it, but it doesn't mean we're all losing a day. You know, we're enjoying the debate, like, let's make this change, but there has to be passion.
Yeah, I mean,
I did lose a day responding to all those comments, that I won't lie. But it wasn't about anger. It was just like
action. Also, on that, you know, people are desperate for viral content. So I've only had a few things go sort of viral, and it's horrendous.
Oh, it's a lot of work.
It's just constant work. And like, oh my God, it's still 4 days on, people are commenting. I can't keep talking to these people. Sorry, completely sidetracked.
No, but do you know what, though? It's interesting, because one of the things that I thought was interesting about the post I put up on LinkedIn, I have no idea what the engagement was like on other people's, but the engagement that I had on my post exceeded the amount of subscribers that the negotiator claims to have every day. So the power is that, you know, yeah, you're right. We should call people out. We're not here to put people in the stocks and throw fruit at them, but they should be called out. But the power that when it goes wrong, if it goes on the right social media platform, will go.
Do you reckon they've got more people? So more people are now aware of them, obviously, because you single-handedly got more eyes on them than they were able to get themselves. Do you think more people are reading their publication because of this?
No, because I didn't link the article. So I think that article will have had an obscene amount of volume from everybody's post, not from mine. I just think that a lot of people will then like, because I had a lot of people try and tell me that I'd got a fake article that I'd added, and I was like, well, no, it just got changed. My big thing,
they changed the headline,
I think, and like, I'm conscious that we've got, you know, two amazing subjects, because no doubt Scott's gone and nailed it with his subject.
Scott's texting me saying he wanted to talk about what you're talking about, so can we just do like a double session?
But the be all and end all of it is that, you know, they could have apologized for the cock up, right? And I actually would have massively respected that. You know, put a little piece out, said, do you know what, we got it wrong, we are sorry, this is how we're going to deal with it. They didn't. You know, behind closed doors, there was a little thing they sent to the women in estate agency group that there's only 3,000 women on that. There was 25,000 people on my post. We're not getting the right message out there. So they could have apologized. But I do think we have to hold our hands up and say, at least that Grant had the balls to have that conversation with multiple people, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think he spoke to the three girls that were on the podcast last week as well. So they definitely haven't. There hasn't been a post that was. A piece that was an apology. Like, cause I don't read the negotiator actually. You know,
there was, but only in the women in estate agency group. So for all of the men that backed that, they didn't get to read it. And it's not for me to go and publicly put out the women in estate agency group is not mine. You know, I have no right to that. So there was, but like, you're talking 3,000 people versus the 25,000 readership that they claim to have.
Well, and you know, agency wide, how many agents read trade press every day that are connected with one of the many people that are very active on social media? Okay, well, it's a good conversation to bring up. Just new format, first one off the bat. Good, well done, Megan. Thank you for bringing that to the table. Scott, we'll give you another 15 minutes. You know, like you've got that look in your eyes. Please don't.
Appreciate that.
You know,
appreciate that.
In the world of Zoom, do you ever have that where you're in a Zoom meeting and someone says something and you and your mate make eye contact straight away, even though you're on Zoom?
Yeah, all the time.
Like,
when someone says something and you know you two are going to find it funny, you just stare at each other, and then you get a little WhatsApp. You get a little WhatsApp from him, and you think, "Oh, okay, I'm not even looking." Yeah,
We were looking at each other.
Cheers, Ben.
Okay, yeah, that
Appreciate
happens to me quite often. Megan, you're looking at me right now, thinking, "What's Scott going to talk about?"
I feel like I feel like I'm just going to text him now and just we'll work it out.
Subtle. Oh, I'm on screen. Mandy, we're not talking about.
Well, after that highly passionate conversation, so my sort of background, I'm very newly an agent, but in my previous life running a family business, my sort of passion was well-being, and coming over to the world of estate agents, I kind of I have so much more sympathy for estate agents now. It is a really stressful job. Like you get pitched again. I come from a manufacturing background, and we worked with our competitors, so it was very collaborative. Whereas you come into estate agents, and this isn't, this is a bit of a generalization, but you're pitched against your competition constantly. I don't think I've ever felt competitive, but now, I was saying to a friend of mine who's an artist, and I said to her, if someone walks in and doesn't buy one of your paintings, you don't get an email in the evening to say they've bought somebody else's painting. This was the painting they bought. They've changed the price that they were going to, the budget that they were going to spend, blah, blah, blah. I've stopped looking at my emails in the evening so that I don't find out what house has gone on the market that should have gone with me. But it's really stressful, the roller coaster that is estate agency. And I've got a lot more, when a client does something and you feel like they may have potentially made not great decisions for them financially, and it's a big deal, so it's a lot to think about. I'd forgotten what it was like dealing head on with the public, blah, blah, blah. So I've got a massive load of sympathy for the estate agents, but I can also see how this market is so addictive. There's so much to it. I love it. Every day is different. But I am aware that you end up sitting at your desk quite a lot if you're not lucky to be out doing viewings and valuations and stuff like that. That's the good bit. Meeting lots of people, having lots of chats is great. But I sort of feel like you really, really have to take care of your well-being. And I imagine that when you've got a team as well, looking after their well-being is quite a major thing as well. And that's sort of my passion, of that us all looking after our mindsets, our physical well-being, our mental well-being, and how much time we spend thinking about that as team leaders and as managers, and also yourself, because I always think when you're an employer, you're the parent as such, and sometimes you're really stressing, but you're still having to look after your team and act, swan-like that it's all right, but underneath it's all going a bit crazy. So I sort of am a big advocate of just going back to the basics, eating well, sleeping well, listen to loads of podcasts. That's why I wanted to come on here with you, Ben, because love podcasts. Every morning, walk the dog, listen to a podcast. That sets my day up really, really nicely. And, by the time you come home, you've got masses of ideas of what you're going to do. Being a menopausal woman, by the time I've got in the car and I'm in the office, I've completely forgotten what my brilliant ideas were. So have to listen to the podcast again.
Women, just they're not absolutely not exclusive. Regularly have this issue.
Yeah, I get so excited about it, and you think I need to keep writing that down before I come back home in case they've got lost. But sticking with the basics, eating well, sleeping well, which is easier said than done when you've got loads on your mind, loads going on. But especially coming up to Christmas, I think people get really stressed, and I actually think it's quite a nice time of year. I mean, I went on holiday in May this year and had like a really one long holiday and nothing saying. And I'm really feeling that now, that I really need a break. And one of my estate agent friends said to me, "Oh, no, we go on holiday in July and August." I think, well, I didn't get that memo. I didn't know that we do that, because no one's buying and selling houses at that time. So not that I am going to go on holiday in July and August, because small children are around at that point as well. But Christmas I love, because more and more businesses seem to be shutting down completely. And if your emails aren't going, the phones aren't ringing, you're not worrying about what your team's doing, that's a really good opportunity to just kick back, relax, and really try and, what's the word? When you shut your computer down and take all the cables out and then you reboot for January. That's what I feel like I need this year. But I don't know what the rest think.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What do you listen to your podcasts on?
Well,
It's just
my
it's just
phone.
it's just market research. I'm just wondering what you listen to your podcast.
Oh, that little podcasty symbol, not YouTube.
Oh,
I have
like Apple. Yeah.
obviously I have to. When Ben puts the link to this podcast in the EA WhatsApp group, I just click on that. But I did realise it was on YouTube. Have you got an ongoing battle, Megan?
Well, my view is that you can't listen to a podcast on YouTube because the moment you put it in your pocket, your phone goes, no.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm
that's a good
working on it. I promise it will be done in December. I promise.
It's just market research, Ben. I just thought it was the perfect time to talk about it.
Do you know what I was just looking at? I was looking at my diary. It is still here and it's written and it is being done in December. It's just sort of, I guess, contrary to what Mandy just said, we haven't slowed down at all at the moment. And so fitting in the non-essential, like getting us on Spotify, I promise I will do. I just don't know how to do it. So I've got to learn how to do it and then go to actually do it.
Do you know, Ben, I have managed it in a previous life. I have managed it. So and it's one of those jobs that you suddenly go, God, I've put that off for so long and it was really easy.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ben.
How long will it take me?
No time.
No,
Is this, hang on, Ben, is this, do you not put it on Spotify or iTunes?
No.
It's like a 5-minute job, mate.
Okay.
If that.
It's actually an intervention, Ben. We actually aren't here to do anything. We're just here to.
I forgot there might be people listening to this. Ben, you need to sort that out because your podcast is doing well anyway.
Imagine how good it would be if people could listen to it on the underground.
Imagine. Megan, you're sort of turning into like something like a counsellor for me, something like I don't know.
I'd say more tough love.
Life coach. You're getting me through Elf on a Shelf, fixing the podcast. Anything else? Just looking at me that I need to address?
I think you're doing great. I'll come back to you. The thing is, but like it's interesting what Mandy was saying then as well, because I said to my boss earlier, Vicky, I said, like, by the time I get to Christmas, like my capacity is here and this is all I have left to give to my working day. Anything that involves creativity or extra learning, my brain's gone now. It needs that recharge. Like it's I always get sick at Christmas because I always just go, and I make sure I go into hibernation at Christmas. You won't see me. Like I am like
leisure sickness, isn't it? Have you heard it? It's called leisure sickness. That people who work hard is when you stop. Yeah, so a lot of people get it when they go on holiday. It's like your body can hold off. It's like just 2 more days, and then just bang. I was having a conversation because I obviously talk to a lot of agents that are starting up their own businesses for the first time, and part of that onboarding process now with me, just going back to sort of Mandy's point, is to put something in the diary that's yours every week. So for me, it was really simple. Thursday, 6:30 till 8:30 tennis. And I just didn't let anything get in the way of that. Nothing. You could phone me and say, I've got 7 new builds and I can only take evaluation at 6:30 on Thursday. And it'd be greeted with a, thanks, but no thanks. Here's my availability. And I think that's a really, really important starting point, because what you'll do otherwise is the business will start to control you really, really quick. So it's just one tip that I give to new agents is just to put that in your diary and absolutely ring fence it as time for yourself. You don't need that much. You don't need 3 or 4 hours a day or anything like that. Most people, I don't think, but just something in your week where you get out of a estate agency, you get away from estate agents, and you go and play tennis or a sport or hang out with people that frankly don't give a shit how your week's been. They just want to do something completely different. It's great.
That's a good point. I've when you're really stressed out in the day, I've taken up paddle tennis and I love it. Like play it 3 times a week at least. And you have to, it's so fast, or, some people play it fast. You can't think of anything else. And it's an hour and a half long, perfect. And by the time I finished, I've completely forgotten what it was I was stressing on the way to paddle for. So as you say, and I think that's a really good point, just keep it simple. You don't have to go for a week-long retreat in a spa and meditate in silence. Just do little and often. It's exactly the same as physical exercise, just mental relief as well. Just has to be little and often, not one big thing. A bit like me going on holiday once a year didn't really work out, because you need little incremental bits as well. I
think that was a big takeaway from this year for me, is that I worked all my day offs, not necessarily my paid job, but, you know, I would do my property mark stuff or other podcasts and stuff. So I basically worked consistently, and then I get to the weekend and then I have to mum. So actually, when I go on holiday, there's no downtime. And I realized that next year I really need to stop that, because actually it takes a massive toll on you eventually. And I can see that if I continue that, I'll end up back where I was years ago, where I just burn out. And I think it's really
so slow though, isn't it, Megan? That's the problem. I think people expect burnout to hit them really hard, that they're going to be going at it, then suddenly burnout's a shot on the nose, and I go, oh, I'm burnt out now, but it's not. It's 0.5% decrease every week for a period of time before eventually you think, oh, I'm just not at it. You know, and I think a break is really, really important. If you're going to offer your clients the best service, being fresh is really important. And sometimes closing that laptop at 5 and not looking at it again till 8 o'clock the next morning is a really, really smart move for the long term.
Yeah, I'm a big advocate. I mean, I was a big advocate before I became an estate agent for the 4-day week. And that isn't just about working 4 days a week. It's primarily about working really efficiently and productively, changing kind of meeting schedules. There's a lot of things about it, but even little points like maybe making sure your staff definitely step away from the desk for an hour, or even 40 minutes in the day for lunch, because they will be 1,000,000 times more productive. People think that people sitting at desks, they have to do it from 9 to 5 and that's the most important thing. No, it's productivity and effectiveness that is more important. And stepping away, coming back after a bit of fresh air, come back, and you're much more productive and focused when you come back.
I've always wondered, if you split a sales team in half and you said to them, right, you've all got a target of 10 grand's worth of income a month. There's 10 of you that side, there's 10 of you that side. You lot have got to do it in 3 days. You lot have got to do it in 5. I'm convinced the 3-dayers would get it done more efficiently and are more likely to hit that target than the ones that have got 5 days. I don't know about you, like the worst thing you can do is give me loads of time to get something done anyway.
100%.
And that's what the week is all about, that. And it started, funny enough, the 4-day week started with women. The fact that women needed more flexible hours to work, and they worked out that, this isn't going to be a massive shock to Megan, that they did as much work in 4 days as they did in 5. So they were just actually paid for less. The 4-day week isn't about paying people less. It's about being more productive, more profitable. And they've actually proved that businesses are more profitable with less hours. It's all about working efficiently, not just taking less time.
One thing sorry, after you, Megan.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I'm interested to know from an EXP point of view that obviously, like for me, if I'm having a tough day at work, especially in our industry, I can turn to someone and be like, my God, what an awful conversation I've just had to somebody. And I think that for me, that's where sometimes the self-employed model can be quite tricky, because you haven't got someone to be like, mate, should we go make a coffee so I can talk about this? How do you guys support your people through that?
Well, I've been doing this 4 years, and probably I did it badly 4 years ago. But now I'm getting quite good at spotting signs that people need a bit of help. Things like the conversation I'm having, like when someone will say, oh, I've got a valuation Saturday, but I don't know if I fancy it or something. And you're like, okay, that doesn't sound like the insert name I know. What's going on? And this is where, actually, on the contrary, I'm probably counsellor 80% of the day. Like my phone, it's been ringing now, like with people that are going to just either just say, I've done something, and I've got to say that's great, or help them with a problem. And over the years, I've learned a few things. And I'd an agent phone me not that long ago, actually, and just say, I'm completely done in. I'm like, well, okay, what do you mean? I'm exhausted. I've got so much to do. I'm like, well, you're just not going to get it done then, are you? Like, just write a list of the 5 most important things, do 2 of them, and then close your laptop and wake up and do them when you're fresh tomorrow. Have you ever done that thing where you've got a task and it's like you start at 6 o'clock at night and 9 o'clock at night, you're still going, oh, God. And then you close your laptop and you get it done at 10 minutes the next morning.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't I just stop doing that? And so I think you start to recognize the signs, and without making this an EXP thing, because that's not what it's about, but we've got 500 agents now across the country. So a lot of our agents are now setting up like little silos, where they're getting together, having coffee and stuff like that. Although interestingly enough, it's funny you'd say that, Megan, because my point, if I was going to raise a subject, which I thought of while we're
Oh, how
talking.
convenient. This has worked really well.
Oh,
It did. It really like great
segue.
segue, because it was actually about the power and the benefit of getting outside of your network. And the reason I say that is I'm looking at you guys, and I know what the conferences are generally like, and I know how much I enjoy, you know, chatting to people like Verona or Alice at Nested or any of you, or, you know, the Bulldogs. When you said the Bulldogs, my first thought is like, I like those guys. I like what they've got to say when we get together. And I think it's really important to get out of your own silos as well, and actually just talk to people who have a different point of view. I think there's a lot of value in that.
For sure.
One of my highlights this year, so I go to the directors' dinner, which the Bulldogs set up, and I don't go every month actually, because it's just tricky, isn't it? You know, being available to go every month. But one of my highlights this year is the friends I've made from that group. So, you know, the dinner's all right, it's nice, get together, you know, but actually the benefit is like in Angie Cooney, I've got like the weirdest mate that she'll message me all sorts of nonsense at all sorts of hours of the night. And like me and her, we're proper friends, which, you know, you don't, you know, I get on with you. I mean, Megan, we spoke a lot. Scott, you know, I'm all about your Barnet, as you know. I'm a big fan. But like Angie has become like a proper mate. And that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't gone along to something that a few years ago I would have said, that's not really for me. So yeah, there's so much benefit. The industry is just completely different to what I knew it to be 20 years ago, when we were encouraged to hide keys from the agents that wanted to borrow them, and like you know that's what I'm talking about. All sorts of antics we were told to do by managers, and found wildly amusing when we were doing them.
That was good fun. Good fun when you're younger.
Yeah, absolutely. You know those 6 pizzas that were delivered to your house last week, Scott. Sorry, mate, it was me. But it's so different now, and I think social media plays a big part of that. And sometimes I can be quite anti-social media because I think it's not always used in the right way, and it's not always used for good. Sound like an Avenger. But there's so much good stuff, and you know, COVID was an awful thing, but those years I think brought the best out of people in terms of I don't like the word collaboration really, but like, you know, old school, you know, old money, getting together, you know, helping each other out. So yeah, that's one of my highlights of this year.
Collaboration's a confusing one, isn't it? Because people say just because you're competitive doesn't mean you're not prepared to collaborate, right? So, you know, I used to box, and what I love about the boxing gym is that when you're training and you're sparring, you're giving people tips. So, look, you need to get your hands up, or I'm going to keep hitting you on the chin, or, you know, you need to, you know, dive left when I do that, or whatever. I don't know, whatever tips they give. But equally, when you get in the ring, you're going to try and knock each other out. And, you know, I don't think collaboration means that I've got to be best friends with every agent. I don't think it means that when I'm up against them, I'm not going to do everything I can to win the business for my business, right? I will do everything I can. But that doesn't mean that when we get together at a conference, I can't share a few tips or accept a few tips or whatever. Yeah, I'm not sure. Collaboration is the wrong word, isn't it? I think it gives off the wrong.
Yeah.
It's a vibe thing, isn't it? You just sort of, like, we all get on, we all help each other out. I mean, we've got a lot, like, I've got so much respect for the agents that I interact with now that have become friends, that a few years ago, honestly, I had such a different approach to interactions with other agents. I mean, as it happens, I guess this is around the country, but in London, my experience in our world is that agents they're arseholes. That's just it. And like, I don't want to knock around with you lot. Like, I don't want to be your mate. I don't want to. Your behaviour is just like, don't really agree with it.
And how long have you been doing the job? When did you start?
Say that again, Scott.
When did you start as an estate agent? How long have you been doing it?
About 20 years ago.
So when you first started, did everyone used to meet in the same pub every Saturday night? Because that was like tradition. Like estate agents used to do that every week. Every Saturday night at 5, there was this one pub that would just get all the estate agents in it. And I'm told it used to go on in like every town, but that just does not happen anymore. But you used to get in there and you'd go, I beat you on that valuation because I said this about you. And, you know, I made up this story or whatever. And it was kind of really good fun. It was really good fun, but that's disappeared. People don't do that.
I never experienced that. So we, as an agency, when I first started, we were a Friday drinker group. Yeah. And we would go on Friday after work, but not much interaction with the agents. To be fair, where I first started out wasn't the greatest area. And so people didn't really want to drink in that area. But then second business and then setting up our own business, actually on a Friday, there was a bit of like group of agents walk in and you're like, oh look, there they are, dark shiny suits, and but there was not a lot of fun, pleasant interactions. But I do think that's a lot to do with London and the way agents interact with each other. They really, like, chain checks are hilarious. People think you're doing something wrong when you call to do a chain check. We're about to be on a deal together. Shouldn't we try and get on? Like,
try and hang up first. Have you noticed that when it's done, it's like, who can hang up first? You got the chain now, bye.
So Alice,
You see, I find this really weird. Like, I come from a whole other world, and when people are funny with you ringing, you think, isn't it much nicer if we enjoy our interactions together? Like, the more we know each other, the better we can get this chain going. Like, I went into, when I first started, I dropped into an agent in a nearby town, and they looked at me like I'd gone completely bananas because I was just going in to say hi, and they were like, "What do you want?" Cool. I'm just coming and say hi. I'm new in the block. No, they definitely thought I was up to something. And I have to say that I did say to them, "Oh, do you want to come along to this dinner that estate agents come to once a month in London?" They said they couldn't think of anything worse. So the truth is,
in their defence,
the arseholes don't come to the dinners. So we're good.
Paper, it doesn't sound good. On paper, directors' dinners don't sound that great. But it is actually.
I'm telling everybody. I say to everyone now, I go to dinner with like 30 estate agents quite regularly, and they're all like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah, they're actually really nice."
You know what? I'm trying to work up. So obviously I've got a year and a half until I'll take the presidency throne for Property Mark, and I'm determined to make that like a mega year. But one of the things that really bugs me is how many Property Mark agents A, don't have a sticker in the window, or B, have the sticker that we upgraded in 2017. And we've got one around the corner of my office, and I've got the sticker for them, and I'm just trying to work up to walk in and be like, "Hi, I'm your vice president. Your sticker's really old. Here's a new one." But I can't work out how to do it without looking like a complete asshole.
There's no way. Just embrace it.
I could just post it through the door. Like,
live it. Just go for it. Look, I've been looking at you guys. I've been watching from afar. You need to fix up. This is not cool.
The logo is so old. Like, it's a proper old logo. And I'm like, they're free, mate. Like, do you want, like, I've got one for you, but I can't work out if it's arseholey. But my plan is that basically I'm going to, every time I go anywhere, I'm just going to pop in and be like, "Hello, it's me."
Are you just gonna introduce yourself to agents around the world as you go and always have a sticker?
Yeah, that's my plan.
You've got like a cavalcade. Do you have like black cars that drive in with flags on and into a town?
I don't think that's going to fit in the expenses budget for it. But I like it.
And security men.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Clint. I don't think Clint could do it anymore. He's past it a bit now. Scott, are we going to go with you've had your subject, you've presented it with that sort of
it just happened to be segued, so it doesn't feel like I've come up with something, but I did, and it was a really good topic.
Yeah, it was really good. Ben, stop being mean.
I just wanted to see if you wanted to expand on it, if you want to do anything more with it. Do you
know what? Can I go back to his point about collaboration? Because actually, how many of us have benefited from this network? So, for example, if I hadn't expanded my network, I wouldn't have the job that I've got here. But I think back to when I was a little baby neg, and there was this lad that we really wanted to get in as a neg because we really needed another one. And he used to come in, I'd be like, "All right, mate, how are you?" And we used to get on really well. And he used to come in, I used to be like, "See this desk? It could be all yours. You could have it if you come and join us." And you know what? For 6 months I did that, and then until he joined us, and then I left. But the point is that your network can really help you in business as well. So it's not just about being nice. I mean, some of my most favorite people in the world have come from my network, from industry.
When it comes to networking, what the mistake people make is they go to something like a big conference that's got 100 people in the room, and they try and make friends with 100 people.
Yeah,
I don't want to do that. What I like about doing that is you can get together, you can meet people, and then meet people that you like and do business with them. Like, I don't want to grit my teeth when people call me because I've said, "Oh, we must do some business together." I don't want to go, oh, they're actually calling. I just want to be able to do business with mates. And what I found over like the last few years is I'm getting these really blurred lines now between like calls. I'm not sure if they're business calls, friendly calls, or what. But at the end of it, we've had a nice chat and made some money together. And I really enjoy doing that. And I think part of the problem we have, us EXPers, is that everyone gets skeptical when we go over and say hello. It's like, okay, you're trying to recruit us. And yeah, of course, there's that part of it. But, you know, a lot of the time, we're just trying to make friends like everyone else, really.
Should I be offended that you've never tried to recruit me?
Are you, Megan?
Yeah, you came and met me at a conference, not once. See, look, I obviously don't make the grade, do I? That's fine, don't worry. No, whatever.
If you joined, would you name anyone else as sponsor other than me? Yeah, I've done my job. That's my job. That's all I can do. That's all I can do.
I just want to, just full disclosure, I'm just not going to do that. But, you know, I appreciate being offered the opportunity. Thank you.
Wow. You can't make it out, can you? Why don't you want me? I don't want to come anyway, but why don't you want me?
Because that's you know, we all want to be wanted, you know, we all want to be loved.
I'm part of that logical, like, leave me alone.
Scott was very nice. He came and introduced himself at the Women in Estate Agency conference. I literally walked off the stage and he was there. And I was like, hello.
And we sure he didn't try and recruit you?
We weren't even connected on LinkedIn. He just came over to be like, oh, well done. It was, you know, it was really, he said nice things. And then I think we connected afterwards, and then he said nice things again. And then we became pals.
Are you sure he's not doing the slow burn, Megan? Like, he's on the same podcast as you today. Like, it's kind of, you know, maybe it's just slower than you would think.
You know what I mean about the skepticism? There we go. You've just seen it live.
I hadn't even put two and two together, Megan, but when I sent out who wants to be on what, Scott did say, can I be on Megan's? So
yeah, it makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah, there is something in it. Maybe I just thought you had a crush, but yeah, it's business related. Of course it is.
I think it's both, Ben. To be honest, but that's okay.
It might be.
That's okay.
Yeah, it could
it
be.
Happens.
I keep thinking about that poor little chap who joined the company because he wanted to be with Megan and she left.
Yeah, I know, it's tragic, isn't it? That
I know.
Did he take your job?
I did give him the job, and then I left. Yeah, it wasn't planned. You know, it was just life happens, and we're still friends now.
Oh,
good. That wasn't when you know, like something like a mentor was trying to pull you to their business or anything, was it?
No, that wasn't actually.
Oh.
No, it was when I was a baby egg, actually.
Oh, sorry, you did say that. Sorry, yeah.
So yes. Anyway, worked out beautifully. Look where I look at this lovely office. And can I just make a point, right? Can we make this a clip? Because people say to me, are you ever in the office? Here I am. This is my office. I have an office. It's just that nobody wants a photo of me sat at my desk on LinkedIn because it's not very interesting.
Yeah, you might need. Yeah, I envisioned your office as being like full of stuff on the wall.
This isn't actually my office. This is actually Vicky's office, but it's very, you know, it's.
Wow, I would have thought Vicky. I mean, she's at least some motivational quotes and images. That is a really,
no, but you know, it says a lot that she wrote a war plan for our business and then presented it in a camo hat. So
like that.
Says everything. She's got a tiny head. I had to open it to make that work.
She's got a tiny head, or have you got a big head?
I've got a massive head. It's
Okay.
full of brains and big hair.
Full of brains. Well, this is a beautiful thing. It's 12 o'clock on the dot. If you're watching the podcast, that means nothing to you because it's not 12 o'clock necessarily when you're watching the podcast or listening. Probably, you know, not watching because it's in your pocket and turned off. It's been fun. Scott, marks out of 10. Must do better. Please show up with subject matter next time. Mandy's got right out of trouble though with hers. Mandy, great first appearance. What a debut. What a debut.
It's like Wi-Fi issues. Sorry about that.
You know what? We were so deep into it.
Did you not even notice?
No, we did. Do you know what? I chose to believe she was so outraged by the subject. She was like, I'm leaving.
I was thinking, oh my God, I probably got that really ugly frozen face, you know.
It was
like
this.
I did ask you a question just as you froze, actually. And then you went. And it's done nothing for my OCD that we've had 3 people on it for 15 minutes, Mandy.
Typical me. I thought it was your problem, not my problem.
Heard that before. And Megan, as always, you delivered. You are one of my favourite postmen. You always deliver.
Thank you. Special delivery just for you, Ben.
Thank you so much. This has been wonderful. Good chat, good conversation. you know, maybe you, Scott. Thanks for coming on, guys. Been brilliant.
Pleasure.
This is going to go out
Thanks,
really
Beth.
close to Christmas. So everybody have a lovely Christmas.
Yes.
Get your
Nice to meet you
downtime.
all.
See you all soon.
Mandy. All right, take care. Bye.